There's a, you guys know Steve Martin? Am I too old to quote Steve Martin? Is Steve Martin a dated reference? Like Steve Martin, I'm trying to think the most recent thing he's done. Coneheads would probably be it, right? Steve Martin was SNL. Steve Martin was the movie Parenthood, not the TV show Parenthood. Like, man, now I'm really dating myself. But before Steve Martin was even Saturday Night Live Steve Martin, or maybe when he was stand-up comic Steve Martin. And he used to say that comedy is all about timing, right? Which is genius in the delivery relating to the actual simplicity of his comedic note. Real estate is about timing. Right? You don't want to buy at the peak, which is probably what me and my wife did last year. It feels like a recession is coming. Although now you can get in. Remember last year, like, hey, get in. Interest rates, they're only going higher. Not so much, they're going lower. And over the next 6 to 9 months, it appears they may go even lower than they've ever been before. Right? Things are about timing. Comedy is always about timing. Do you have comedic timing? Real estate is about timing. It's not just the house that you get into or the location. It's also about when you get in. Between the rates and the value, what the market's doing, what the market will do, and how long you want to own that house. Heck, I go to work, and one of the reasons I'm able to live where I live, do what I do, and make it in here, and I live a good distance away, is because of the timing of the time of day in which I do my research. Timing and fit is what life, what sports, what jobs, it's all about. I give you Tyreek Hill. I give you Zeke Elliott. I read today that the agent for Tyreek Hill, and by the way, if I was going to tell you who the agent was, like, that's a big name agent like Drew Rosenhaus. Bingo! I read that Drew Rosenhaus was at Chiefs camp discussing the possibility of an extension for Tyreek Hill with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I'm a reasonable human being. I realize that Tyreek Hill has overachieved his contract. I realize that he is as dynamic a weapon within any offense as we've seen, and then within that offense, it's like one thing to be able to call yourself the fastest player in the National Football League. It's a whole other thing to have the strongest armed quarterback in an offense that is super high powered and needs you to stretch the defense and has found creative ways to use you. He is a perfect fit for exactly what they have been yearning for and now what they need. They wanted somebody to take the top off the defense, only Alex Smith wouldn't throw it downfield. Now you get Pat Mahomes, who will take every possible chance and can throw it. And the one guy you can seemingly not overthrow is the one guy that they have. Like, all of that works. But there's this little thing, right? I don't know. If you've been paying attention, Tyreek Hill was this close to being out of football. Right? I don't think that's an overstatement. He got kicked out of my alma mater because of a domestic violence charge against the then pregnant of his now kids. He went, resuscitated his career at a smaller school, and has had an incredible impact with the Kansas City Chiefs. And they are believers, or were believers, in the church of Tyreek Hill being a reformed citizen. And why shouldn't they be? Until that tape was released on a local TV station, which many of us thought, this is the end of Tyreek Hill with the Chiefs. We found out it was only a portion of the tape. He met with the commissioner and somehow avoided suspension. And then, because Drew Rosenhaus is an excellent agent at getting his clients paid, but a terrible agent, ridiculously awful in terms of managing the PR of his clients. This is classic Drew Rosenhaus. Tyreek Hill said this in response to why there was an audio tape of Tyreek and the mother of his son and now daughter, and Tyreek's talking about hitting his son in the chest.
Punching my son in my chest, that would probably refer me teaching my son how to box, because we do got boxing gloves at our house, and our son, he's like Iron Man, so he loves Iron Man, Aquaman. He's like, Daddy, come on, all the time. So that's what it is, man. And sometimes things get thrown out of context, when feelings get involved and emotions, but I ain't gonna get into all that right now.
You just did get into all that. I don't even understand the context of how you think that would go over well. I don't know how Drew, being your agent, wanting a new contract, would allow you to speak to the media without somebody there next to you nudging you going, or just read a statement, but that was bad. Like, no one was sitting there going like, hey, man, Tyreek Hill did at that press conference. He was awesome. It was cringeworthy. Again, it doesn't indict him. It doesn't mean he was accused, that he was guilty of what the public and, frankly, the mother of his children, his then fiance, accused him of. No. It just is terrible optics. And then a couple days into camp to have your agent there going like, hey, we're good here, right? Cool. We want a whole bunch of money. In the hashtag world, that is hashtag way too soon. Right? We've been saying this about Zeke Elliott. Like, Ezekiel Elliott is to running backs what Tyreek Hill has been to dynamic playmaking wide receiver slashes, running backs, guys in the X, the Y, the Z, kick returners. What Tyreek Hill does, that's what Zeke does, and maybe even more so for the Dallas Cowboys. But, bro, you had been suspended 6 games. You just got out of the principal's office. And there was actual visual evidence of you just being a DB to a security guard. And now you're in Cabo, chilling, hoping that your team comes to their senses. And, oh, yeah, by the way, the Cowboys like, look, we got to figure out Dak. We got to figure out Amari Cooper. You got at least 2 years under your rookie contract before we ever really have to deal. We still got Jalen Smith, who's underpaid because he tore up his knee in college, and he's proven to be the prospect that he was before that terrible knee injury. On so many levels, both are ridiculously tone deaf and not understanding of what Steve Martin long ago said about comedy and how it relates to sports and to business and to life. It's all about timing. Like, dude, Tyreek Hill, just go dominate playing football. Keep your name out of the news. Do the cheetah thing once or twice. And then after scoring a couple touchdowns, after lighting up a scoreboard, then have Drew call the front office and go, fellas, I think you know what this phone call's about. Same thing with Zeke. Like, let get Dak figured out. Let Amari get figured out. Have a couple of incredible outings. And then pick up the phone, call Jera or call Jerry's son and say, Steven, and say, I think you know what this phone call's about. Right? It's always too soon for Hitler jokes, for racist jokes, right? Like, these are always too soon. But most other stuff has a time span when you know it's too soon. You just know it. And I think a blind man, a deaf man, a dumb man, anyone who parachutes in from any of the planets in our solar system and a couple from other solar systems would know Tyreek Hill and Zeke Elliott looking for massive pay raises right now is way too soon. Hi, I'm Doug Gottlieb from Fox Sports Radio, and you need to subscribe to the Fox Sports Radio YouTube channel where you can hear and see me. Why not? Plus everybody else who's awesome here in Fox Sports Radio.